It's probably going to be a lot like when we came to this realm. There'll be people around, right? Friendly faces, loving faces, right? Oh, how cute, doting over us. Who knows? But I mean, you like to think, it's something like that, but we're not going to be alone. There'll be other beings, right? Even when you dream at night, you got other beings. So it's comforting. It's comforting to know. So that's the best advice. It's the best thing I can do. To me, it's success if you can just be a servant of God and be God's friend, because that's the relationship He wants. His yoke is easy, His load is light. It's easy. It's hard to do the other thing, to not have any faith at all. But when you lay your cards on the table and say, God, yes, look at all of it. I'm effed up. Look at this. I got the shame, guilt. Oh my God, regret, remorse, grief. Oh God. Oh, addictions, habits, all kinds of crap. Okay, as human beings. But we're all the same in that regard. We can all be pitiable, pathetic, and we can all be great. And we can all do great things. We have a lot of power as these little gods, children of God. That makes us God with a small g. We're like that. And we should respect each other greatly. That's the best thing you can do to ensure healthy human relations is just to be respectful, sensitive, kind, friendly, humble. And it's not easy, friends. It's hard. It is hard. I mean, and the test to me comes when you're driving down the road, right? You're getting on the highway and people are climbing up your butt. Maybe you're one of those climbing up somebody else's butt, but I don't like it. It's like, it makes me crazy. It's like, okay, you're going to get on the freeway. You want to race? We'll show you. I mean, that spirit is like evil. It's like a gladiatorial arena out there on the highway, right? So it's hard to keep your peace of mind. It's a good test for just trying to be nicer. Are you being a nicer driver? Are you in more control? I mean, you might have your lapses, but for the most part, are you getting better? That's a test to me. If you're getting better, if you're evolving, growing as a human being, you're becoming nicer, you're becoming more humble, you're having more humility, and you're setting a good example by so doing, because it's not easy. We tend to have a lot of ego problems, vanity, false pride. That's the human thing, man. And it's ugly. But yet we embrace it as if it's pretty because, hey, hold my head high and all this crap. And it's like, I got better men and women than me. You do too. Suffering needlessly and dying out on the street. Jesus Christ said, if you want to help somebody, that's me. We call ourselves a Christian nation here in America. You're bad if you don't want every immigrant and his brother coming here from wherever, they're being oppressed. You know what it's like? It's like Nazi Germany. Okay, what was happening? Hitler wanted to cleanse the country of certain people. It wasn't just the Jews, Seventh-day Adventists. He didn't like them. The Pope didn't like them because they were revealing that the true Sabbath is a Saturday like the Jews. So they were lumped in that group with the Jews because they were just exposing that the first day of the week, look at your calendar, by the way, they never got to change that, though the Pope would have liked it, the Antichrist. But now we start a day at midnight instead of sundown like traditionally we did. But Saturday is the real Sabbath, the seventh day of the week. Sunday is the wrong day to be going to church. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you, but it's the one the Antichrist handed down. They follow this rule, right? The edict of the Roman Catholic Church was very powerful. And if you were caught owning a Bible back in the day, you'd get strangled, get your head cut off, whatever. The Inquisitions, the Crusades, all that crap. Mm-hmm. But anyhow, Hitler was clever. So we need to find out who the a-holes are that are driving these people out of their country. Do you know how hard it'd be to leave your homeland? Could you, as Americans, can you imagine leaving America? And say, oh, God, Canada would be better than this. And that's where you were born and raised in that state. And you feel like you're being driven out. You're being forced out. We're replacing you. You're irrelevant. We don't need you anymore. We want to make your life so miserable that you flee. Flee the conditions, whatever that may be. Because there's no news media. I don't hear anything coming up. What's going on? What the hell is going on? Radio silence, crickets. What's going on in these countries these people are fleeing from? So I say what we do, we embrace every single one of them and we give them their own state, just like we gave the Jews in Israel. That's it. That's it. Wherever, pick. Let them all pick. Let them go. Let them pick. Let the new migrants, those that are emigrating from other nations, immigrating here, give them their own state, their own country. So maybe they'll set an example. Maybe they'll fix America by setting a good example, because a lot of Latinos have very strong family values, okay? I know that for a fact. My mother was, both her parents were Croatian, actually Dalmatian, close to Croatia, part of it, I guess, at this point. All that stuff's always in flux, you know, who owns what, who has jurisdiction where, but Dalmatia, both her parents Dalmatian immigrants to America, settled in Los Angeles. My grandpa died young. I never got to meet him. I got to meet my grandma, but only as a baby, then she died. She was in Maywood, East L.A. My mom was born and raised in East L.A. She spoke fluent Spanish, so to know my mom was like to know a Latina. Very nice, friendly, gregarious, very nice lady. But she was hurt pretty bad, I think, traumatized, losing her dad at 14. My dad said she never quite got over that, and that's why he thought she was always a bit of a dingbat. I don't know what. People like dingbats, right? How about Suzanne Summers on, what was it, Three's Company? Remember that? She was a bit of a dingbat, but everybody loved her, right? But anyhow, friends, I'm kind of getting sidetracked here. But listen, the big message, the most important thing I could give you, friends, is just read for yourself. Find out what the good news is, man. Death swallowed up in victory. So the fight is about injustice, which to me, in my mind, is just unfairness. I'm an egalitarian. I'm not going to be ashamed of that. I believe in equality. I believe in fairness. I believe we should see things through God's point of view. Put ourselves in God's shoes. You've got 8 billion kids. I got 8 billion kids. How are you going to treat them? It's your planet. You own the planet. All these resources belong to you. Do you see there's no need for money if you just take it at that? The fact is, we're all born very rich, and it has nothing to do with money. Just like all the animals, they say, well, I could feed in this tree or this bush, I can eat this or that. I mean, there's such bounty everywhere. That's what it would be like. I mean, if we all want 10 Rolex watches, we'll get busy at the Rolex watch factory. You understand? But we don't need to own everything. It's like you could go to a pawn store and just borrow stuff for a while and then bring it back to a central location. You understand? Because, I mean, if you're just going to take some really cool item that somebody would really oogle and all over and put it in your closet, what's the point? Yeah, it's an investment, right? So it'd be out there. That's why I always say money stifles innovation. Because as an innovator, as a designer, as a thinker, you know, I have fun with, you know, wow, how do I improve this? How can I solve this problem? How can I make this better? I love it. But it's hard because you need money. You need investors. And if you're not a salesman, well, you're screwed, aren't you? Because how else do you find an investor? You got to go sell yourself. You got to go sell your idea. You got to convince somebody else. I'm not into that, man. I don't even care. I mean, money. See, I just put it all on an account for my kids anyhow, you know. So what, you know, and they're probably going to be fine. By the time they're my age, they're probably, both my daughters will probably be very well off, I imagine. They already are way better off than I was at their age. At my age, when I was their age, whatever. They're doing fine. So, you know, I don't need to worry about money. But I'm compelled to share my ideas and say, wow, maybe people would really appreciate this and say, wow, I'm glad this person, you know, persevered and did what was necessary to get this product on the shelf or available online, you know, something like that. So I think that, you know, it's important that if you are like me, and I think we're all the same in that regard, we're all imaginative. I mean, who hasn't had a good idea? Just write them down. Have fun with it. Expand it. Just a design change. I could improve it. This little thing about this thing bugs me. Or this thing isn't even available. That's really cool when you feel like, wow, I've discovered something that doesn't even exist. But I know this would be popular. It's fun. Still, I don't care about money. It's be a way to contribute. to give, because we're all compelled to give. If you're in your right mind, man, you want to give of yourself, your God-given talents. You want to feel useful. You want to feel appreciated. When you feel appreciated, it's like feeling loved. And that's a good feeling. And it makes you want to go out and be loving to somebody else. This is what it's all about. We're going to spend an eternity growing. That's it, in character and just in our ability to enjoy our moment, our lives, eternity, which is comprised of what? Just a series of moments. We spent the past, but who cares? We've got eternity to look forward to. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. That's good news. But you got to believe Christ. You got to believe that he did what he did. He healed the sick, people of ailments. He raised dead people. There was witnesses, there's testimonial. This is history, friends. God has that power. It doesn't matter if somebody's body was cremated. God owns all the atoms. They can't escape the atmosphere unless they're sent out into space, like Timothy Leary had his body shot out into space, right? So God's going to raise them up and reconstitute them, and they're going to have new life. He says it's about eternal life, not having better bodies, infinitely better. The atomic structure of the body is imperishable. You understand it? You can't die anymore. And you can't be injured so badly that you can't recover from it. So gravity would have to be changed. Everything would have to be altered. But we have the ability, as these children of God, to imagine how that could be. And that's all it takes, because we know the invisible is real. When you're dreaming at night, what's going on? Well, what's with this brain? Wow, it's amazing. We're part of something big. God gave us a brain and these bodies and our five senses and everything. And it's all spiritual and it's invisible. The most powerful things in the world are invisible. Like Einstein said, love is the most powerful force in the universe. What would a man give in exchange for his soul? How about your ability to appreciate cuteness? It's valuable. I mean, how do you put a price on something like that? Like just being able to appreciate, cute critters, baby critters, for example. Even adult critters. I mean, let's all remember that we were cute little kids, too, at one time when people doted over us. We didn't always look in the mirror and see a scowling sourpuss, So, friends, I'm on your side. Doesn't mean I agree with you, and I would deter you from maybe doing something, thinking something, and wrong values, wrong belief system, wrong mindset when you're too fitting in, you're too compliant to this world system. That's the danger, friends, that you could be off and you don't have any substance. You want to be ready to stand before God and give account for your business practices. Were you living by the golden rule, the only law with teeth, God's teeth? Okay, all the laws of man are rules. I mean, nobody seems to care, right? They disregard them constantly and end up in jail and costing the taxpayers $100,000 a year. But if you're not a criminal and you just want, don't want to rock the boat, you don't want to break the law, and you go to jail, but you're homeless. But society says, well, we're not willing to do nothing for you. You're going to depend on charities, and we already spent the $50 billion a year to make the problem worse in the Section 8 HUD Housing Authority thing, and housing and urban development, to house poor people. But sorry, you guys missed the boat. You guys, missed the bandwagon. These people will pay their rent, $3,000 studio apartment in Manhattan, for example. Might be slightly hyperbolic, but, it's pretty close, I think. And, you got a family of four trying to live in there. Well, one person working and a minimum wage job. And, well, the government will pay $2,500. We say your cost percentage sharing is going to be $500 forever. As long as you stay there raising kids, you get to keep that apartment, that studio. That's the way it works. But if you're homeless out there, and it just makes the problem worse, all that money goes into the pockets of fat cat landlords that don't seem to care. I mean, they're not watching their prices. I was just looking at gasoline quality. We talk about capitalism a lot. And you've heard this gouging. Like our governor threatened the oil company. Oh, if we cut you gouging. Then I was reading that Safeway is in trouble. They're in hot water, legally speaking. Somebody's suing them, I think, for unfair competition because their prices were too low. Why aren't they suing Costco? You see, why aren't we hearing about this stuff? That's very interesting. Can you imagine Safeway? Well, don't gouge, don't charge too little. So they're telling you the law is you got to fix your prices. That's market. That talk about a monopoly. That's getting all the gas stations to monopolize. We want you on the same page. We want to be able to count on this much money. You understand? Because we're going to extract this much profit and give it to our shareholders. It's sick. It's so anti-capitalistic. You don't